I'm going to be making a trash can today. For every project, I like to start with a plan, so I'll begin by modeling my idea in Fusion. This will also give me the angles I'll need. I'm going to be making a hexagonal trash can, so I'll use the inscribed polygon tool. Do not use the circumscribed polygon tool because you'll get weird measurements on your tops and bottoms. I want my bottom to be 4 inches, so I'll set that and constrain my sketch. Next, I'll create an offset plane 12 inches from the origin because I want my can to be approximately 12 inches tall. I'll do the same thing on the new plane, but this time my hexagon will be 5.5 inches. I'll loft these together, then use the shell tool to hollow it out. I'll create another sketch on the top of my trash can so I can make tool lines to split the body. I'll split the two bodies using the lines I made. And if you get this error, you can just do 2 splits individually instead of trying to do them as one operation. I'll split the bottom too. Using the align tool, I'll align the body with the origin. From here you can get all the measurements you need, and all the sides will be identical. This bottom edge isn't exactly 4 inches because of where I split the bottom, but it won't matter because we're going to use the assembled walls to make the bottom. The angles remain the same regardless. I'm going to make this trash can out of 1/2 inch plywood. I'll start by measuring out 13 inches of material. This will be close to our final height of 12 inches and should leave enough room for cutting our miters. The length of my material is 4 feet, and since each wall is about 5.5 inches on its longest side, this will be more than enough room for our walls. I'll set up a straight edge to make my cut. Since I know that the edge of my saw's base plate is about 1 inch away from the blade, I've drawn another line so I know where to place my straight edge. Since I just bought a miter saw, I thought it would be fun to do this project without using my table saw. Apart from some calibration, this will be my first time using a miter saw, so forgive me if my technique isn't very good here. With that said, if you do have a table saw, there are some cuts here that are definitely better suited for that. Rip these two sides on a table saw with the blade set at 6.2 degrees parallel to each other. The length should be 12 inches. But since I'm not doing that, I made a mark at 6 inches and I'll cut my board. Once I position my board, and with the blade at 0 degrees, I'll set a stop block to 6 inches and cut all 6 of my pieces. Now we'll start prepping for compound cuts. I'll set my blade angle at 6.2 degrees from 90. This will make it so that the boards sit flat on their base. The math here is complicated and I'll sound like an idiot trying to explain it, so if you want different dimensions, I recommend using Fusion or another modeling software to calculate the angle. Now we'll cut one of the shorter edges from all the boards. You'll want to remove just enough material so that the cut goes through the entire edge. I'll make a mark so I know which side I've cut. Slide your board over and make the same cut on the other side, but this time placing the stop block at 12 inches. This will be your final length. To cut the adjacent sides, set your blade to 60 degrees and your platform angle to 3.6 degrees. I'm using a digital angle finder for this and lining up the blade and the fence as closely as I can to be parallel with the tool. This isn't very precise, so if you know a better way to do this, please let me know. For this cut again, you'll want to remove as little material as possible while clearing the entire edge. Do this for all your boards. Now take your board, flip it, and slide it over to the other side. With the shorter side against your fence, place a stop block at 4 inches and make your cuts. With all our side pieces done, we can start gluing them up. I'll lay out the boards with the outside facing up and line up all the edges. I'll then apply tape to hold everything in place. Trace the inside and outside onto another piece. This will become your bottom. I'm going to make a straight edge router jig. A router table will also work for this if you have one. I'm going to use 2 pieces of scrap. This will work as long as the top piece is relatively straight. Don't do what I did and use the wrong size bit here. The bit should be a 1/2 inch straight bit or whatever the thickness of your material was. Line up your top piece so that the router can cut the entire edge of the bottom piece, clamp down and secure with screws. Trim the edge flush using the straight edge. Line up your jig with the lines from earlier and remove about 1/3 of your material. Remove excess material from the workpiece, but leave a little overhang so you can flush trim it later. I used a jigsaw here, but you can use your miter saw as well. I left a bit too much material here, so I'll have to take a few extra passes with the router. Glue both pieces together and wait for them to dry. Using a flush trim bit, I'll set my depth to just below the bottom of the trash can and I'll trim off the excess. I'm going to sand using 80 and 120 grit sandpaper. My favorite sandpaper is the 3M Cubitron 2. It removes a ton of material quickly and is the best sandpaper I've ever used. I'm going to be using Minwax pre-stain and some dark walnut stain. The pre-stain will help the wood stain more evenly. It is particularly useful on soft woods. Applying stain is easy and I like using a rag for this. Just wipe it on in the direction of the grain and wipe off the excess. Halfway through this project I didn't like how it was turning out, so I started cutting corners. I should have sanded and stained the inside before assembly. I should have also cared about the glue squeeze out on the inside. There's going to be a bag in it most of the time anyway, so who cares, right? But once I finished staining, I was actually kind of proud of it. I am very much a beginner when it comes to woodworking, so if I could do it, you could do it too. Here's the final product. Thanks for watching.